soon. So I'll just check if everything is working according to my plan. I know there are sometimes a little bit of a surprises, but so far I can see it is happening. So this is a good moment to just confirm you can hear and see everything. Looks good on my side. So welcome to my messy studio. We are going to start in about 3 minutes officially. Perfect. I will go and check on my bigger device as well. Looks like we are online and everything is working. So we are going to officially start in a moment, but it's a good moment to spread the word online, to show the link to your crafty friends as well, and to give me a thumb up. And if you're not subscribed to this channel, it's also a great time to subscribe because there are videos for mixed media enthusiasts on this channel. We make projects, we talk about techniques, there are presentations of the products and the new collections. All of that is happening here approximately one time per month, maybe a little bit more depending on what is going on. So hello. Welcome to my studio. For all of you who are new here, I'm just going to get the position will be okay for sitting for a longer while. And my name is Anna. People call me Finnabair or Finn because that's my official nickname. And this is my messy studio in East Galway, Ireland. And I'm here to talk a little bit about mixed media and colors. And you may ask why. Who who am I to tell you what may work or may not? I have a bit of experience, and I was thinking it may be useful, especially for beginners. I am a self-taught artist. I started teaching classes in 2011, and I developed the style that you can recognize as dimensional mixed media. All these things you can see behind me, all of the things that are about found objects, textures, all of the things that are not flat and dramatic. Um, this kind of look happened partly because of me. So I think I may give you some suggestions, especially if you are not very confident on the color selection and how to make it work in this kind of composition, because mixed media is a super broad category and there are so many things going on in there. But not every rule is universal when it comes to making art, when it comes to creating projects. And when we talk about dimensional mixed media, so the projects which are more of 3D, uh, Crystal, thank you, but you are way too kind. When it comes to 3D projects, there are some tips that may be helpful, not only for the beginners, but also for people who are trying that kind of look as a new thing, or maybe they feel they are a little bit off and they wonder why. First of all, I have to say personal style and preference is the key here. There are people who are naturally super colorful and they would love to put as much of the colors, as many colors on the project as possible. And there are some people who are more into very monochromatic or muted colors. And all of that is okay. But if you need some rules to help you with that, I can give you a hand because that applies to a lot of projects. So my plan was to, first of all, explain why it works this way. And if you have experience in arts or in photography, I will try to relate to that a little bit. I will try to make it approachable, so even if you have no knowledge at all, you will get what I mean. And I will show you some examples of the finished work, trying to point what I'm trying to explain on the example so it's easier. And then we will try to make something on the blank prepared projects as well, so you can see in real life how it's all happening. So, well, I hope that's the plan. And you are super, super supportive and wonderful here. Thank you very much. First of all, thank you for coming to the live stream and making it visible. The more thumbs ups, the more visible we are. And people see it as legit content, and we really try to educate and help. So if you want to give that extra boost, you can. And another thing, if you have any crafty friends who may benefit from this content, give them the link, because I make it to help and I do it for everybody. And I have to say, this is like a condensed and a shortened version of the live stream I made for my patrons about 3 years ago. Then I went into details. So after watching this live stream, if you feel that you would like to know more about colors, but also composition, highlights, dimension, other things, you may consider subscription on Patreon. The description is in the box below the video. On the tier of the ArtPal, that is €10 per month, you have the access to all of these live streams from the previous years, plus everything that is new coming. So if you want deeper knowledge and more of the content that will be high quality projects, but also knowledge about art and in general about composition, how to make things and why, I may help with that as well. So that was a moment for a bit of advertising, self-advertising. And now, this chat is for you, okay? I can see the chat here on other device. So on some point, there surely will be something you would like me to explain or maybe ask a question. So don't be shy. I am really happy to answer and I will be very happy to help. I'm not there will be questions I may not know answers for, because, as I said, I'm a self-taught artist and I learned all the things I'm telling you now just by doing. I just experienced all of that myself, and I was learning by watching others. And when I was starting doing dimensional mixed media, there were no tutorials on YouTube. There were no teachers there. It was kind of like a completely new field to discover. So I had to experiment a lot. And this is how step by step I developed the style I represent. And I have the knowledge that I can share with you. A lot of products I'm using here on this channel, there are Prima marketing products, because I'm responsible for the development of the mixed media line with Prima marketing. This is my signature line. And you may recognize products from the lines Art Basics, Art Alchemy, Art Extravagance, Art Ingredients. I also have molds and stencils. In general, there is everything you may need to make this kind of project in your own studio. So that was like a longer introduction. I was just giving all the people time to join and to get in here. So if you want, give a shout on Instagram or on Facebook. We are starting now. You can share the link and we will go to colors in dimensional mixed media. I have to underline that I do flat mixed media as well, mostly in my journals. And this is a slightly different story. The colors in there, they work a little bit more predictable way, maybe. Today, I wanted to make it more cohesive and focused on the dimensional mixed media, because during my in-person classes or online classes or sometimes online, I see questions from people who wonder how to pick the right color palette, how to work with the colors in this kind of projects, or they simply freeze because they get to the point when they have the whole composition done. Like here, they even put a primer on the top and then they don't know what to do. So I hope some of my suggestions, they're going to be helpful, and I will try to make it, like, as I said, easy to understand, easy to follow, not too long, so you will know what may be the good starting point for you when you feel stuck or unsure, because we all have these moments. We all have these moments. Sometimes it is just the fact that we keep repeating the same color palette because this is what we feel confident with, or we just don't know how much of the color we should apply on the project, what are the safe solutions, how to do it without creating mud. This is also important. People are afraid that they will create very ugly, muddy color. And this may happen if you are maybe a little bit too eager to mix everything with everything. So before we start officially, are there any questions? Just a quick answer also to the people who are watching and they are not familiar with the live stream format. Live streams are recorded, which means after we finish, you may come back to to my YouTube channel and find it in the live sessions and rewatch it as many times as you need. You can also share it because it's shareable link. This is open for everybody content. So if you need to go somewhere because something is important today, you don't have to worry. You can always watch the remaining part later on. But of course, it is nice to be here and chat, and not only with me, but also with other people here. A lot of the people in that group, they're my patrons, wonderful mixed media loving people who have a lot of experience already, or they just joined and they are excited to learn and to think about what to do next in the projects. So hello everybody. I can see a lot of people on the chat already. And as Kielaya said, poo brown is the easiest color to mix and the one you get most with, yes, when you're starting. So that is very true. And this is a common fear that the poo brown is going to happen. And unfortunately, there are ways to make it happen if you are too enthusiastic. Yes, so it's good to know some rules. Also, it's good to know the product you are using, because some of the products may be easier to mix with the other ones. Some of them are water reactive for a very long time, so it is a little bit tricky. And we are not going to talk that much about the product, more about how to put the colors together. But I decided to revive my mixed media for beginners line, so first steps in mixed media on the YouTube channel. And I'm really willing to listen what kind of topics you would like me to cover. And I hope this is going to be something you will visit more often and check. Poo brown is frequent. Perfect. I'm happy, Cheryl, you are here. So also one little note. Pozdrowienia dla dziewczyn z Polski. Bardzo mi miło was tutaj widzieć. Cieszę się, że zaglądacie. Jeśli będą jakieś pytania, to bardzo się proszę odzywać. Dziękuję. That was a short note for the girls from Poland, because I can see they're here as well. Thank you so much, my dears. So, and somebody just subscribed to my Patreon. Thank you very much for that. This is amazing. I just got a notification. Well, it's good to talk about it, apparently. Oh, okay. You have to tell me later on what happened about the buffalo stamps. I know. Oh, okay, I know. Sorry, I remember. Yes. Let's. I just realized. Yes. So everybody, talking about dimensional mixed media, and now you'll see my face quite a lot, but I promise you're going to see projects as well. I prepared a selection of projects here, and there will be different kind of projects, but all of them will be more on the dimensional side, because this is really the style I'm supposed to talk about, because this is what is very close to my heart, and this is my signature look. And people quite often, when they make projects and they need to decide on the color palettes, they are stuck because they are afraid something is going to go wrong, or they're feeling like, oh, I will put too much color, it's going to be ruined. I have to say, every time when I hear that somebody is saying, oh, I'm going to ruin my project, I just feel like, oh, everything is fixable. Really, guys, everything is fixable. And that is first rule, basically, when you make mixed media, there are layers, and we create these layers. Even if the project is flat, there are many things you can do on the top, and a lot of the things you are doing, they are possible to partly cover or blend or in any way fix with the next layers on the top. So you don't really have to panic if something goes wrong. And this is like the one of the things that should give you a little bit of confidence. Also, once you will figure your compositions, colors and the right way of applying highlights and shadows is something that will help you with final balancing of the project. So if you feel the composition is a little bit off, you can change it a lot just by very conscious application of the colors and fixing the problems this way. Because color has amazing power in visual art, and we can use it for our advantage. However, in dimensional mixed media, the problem is, I'm just showing you examples here to keep your attention. In dimensional mixed media, the problem is there is a big competition between texture and color. And the texture and color, they are direct competitors for your attention. And when you are stuck with the color palette, some people just tend to put too much of the color and forget the texture is going to be simply forgotten. Because how this works, when you have texture and color and they fight with each other, texture is always a little bit in the back and behind, and in this maybe disadvantaged position, because color by nature grabs a lot of attention and is usually something that is going to go straight to our brain and ask for, like, woohoo, here I am, look at me, ask for attention right away. When you take a photo of something, let's say a flower, in black and white and in color, the perception is always always on the color side. The perception is you see the colors first on the colorful photo. You're going to look that direction first. If you put them next to each other, first you will look at the colorful photo and then maybe on the black and white, because this is how our brain works. So if you take a photo of this flower in colors, you're going to notice, oh, it's a beautiful shade of orange and yellow, right? And it has some dark spots. Only when you are going to look at the black and white photo, you will notice there are beautiful textures on the petals. You're going to see beautiful shapes of the petals or the details that will be inside of the flower. You're going to notice these nuances. They exist in there, but because the color is so flashy and so demanding, very likely you are going to overlook that. And the same happens when you look at the colorful dimensional project. So my first advice, and I think that's a very good advice, if you are afraid to work and create dimensional projects, when you prime them, when you work with them, no matter if you're going black or white to start with, it's a very good habit. If you are unsure how to do it, start with monochromatic project. Monochromatic project is something you can easily do. Okay, so this is not fully monochromatic, but it's close. This is one of the videos, live streams I made here on this YouTube channel, by the way. We have a lot of textures happening here, right? We've got dimensional flowers, leaves, a lot of the textures also in the back, right? Here, the stenciling. And at the same time, we are able to see all of this because the color is more pastel and it's mostly just blue-green. So blue-green is like the almost corresponding colors on the color wheel. We're going to talk about the color wheel in a moment. And they give you that space to really appreciate the texture. If you like textured project, if you like this kind of creativity, when you have more of the color that is not really that much into your face, more subtle color, you can totally go into monochromatic and enjoy that. But when you are going monochromatic, it doesn't mean it's supposed to be pastel only and you use one color and that's it. You can totally go into different saturations and shadows. Like here we've got, again, monochromatic project, but you can see some of the parts are very light, some of the parts are very dark, and in between in there are some tones of brown as well, which is like neutral color, and that is like a first good way to start making dimensional projects. You go with one, maximum two colors, and then you work on the highlights and the shadows. Okay, does it make sense? I will show you that with the color wheel in a moment, one of the examples I've got here. Let me show you the details, and if you have any questions so far, let me know. I will try to be structured with everything. So we start with simple thing. Okay. I will leave these two monochromatic projects on the table. I will leave the color wheel and I will leave one of the samples. So you have to know that my table is never clean. So if you are one of the people who just love watching, like binge watching these beautiful tables of the crafty people that have everything clean and they have everything organized, I'm sorry, this is the wrong address. It's not going to happen here ever. But once we know that, let's have a look. So what happens with the monochromatic? It is not exactly just one green color and that's it, okay? Or one blue color and that's it. It may be colors which are next to each other on the color wheel. We have example of the color wheel here. Colors that are close to each other, they will be neighbors, okay? So for example, green and blue, they are neighbors. Of course, there are tones in between, but that means if you're going to mix green and blue, when you mix them together, this in between is going to happen. So you will never get mud. You will get only another shade of blue or another shade of green. So turquoise or aqua or any other colors you would like to get. So that will be the color palette here I used on my project, right? I used the blue and green. So that is it. And because of that, there was no mud happening. But later on, to make this dimension pop, I added highlights. And highlight is something super important in dimensional projects because it's like something that is going to touch the tops to boost the 3D effect. This is very pastel project, so the highlights are very white, but the shadows are very delicate, okay? In other projects, you may see the colors are going to be much stronger. And in fact, the more of the light and shadow you're going to apply, the more far away from each other they are, the more dramatic and dimensional effect you're going to get. So just to give you another example, this is another monochromatic project. Here we've got shades of pink and shades of red that sometimes go in other tones. So let's look at the color wheel. Okay. This is basically orange, red, pink. So they are these colors, right? There's no way any mud will happen because you know when the mud happens? When you take colors from one side of the color wheel and you mix it with the color on the other side. So in this case, if I put together pink and green at the same time and they will blend, this in between is going to turn brown, okay? When you take the colors which are next to each other, and even they are wet and dripping and blending and mixing, only thing that is going to happen here is going to be another shade of pink another shade of red, or maybe another shade of coral orange. All of that is going to give you these midtones, which are absolutely safe. If you go with colors from here to here, for example, right? So very popular combination is red and green, right? You know this is going to put us into poo brown situation. These two will make poo brown, okay? Asha, I totally agree. It should be better video in Polish, but what can I do? I will have to make another one, apparently. So, if you were a beginner, right, and you would like to make good choices, we have like advice to start with. You can start with the monochromatic color palette and then work on the shadows and highlights. So something similar to this situation. You pick the color that is, let's say, your favorite color, right? Let's say for this project, we would like to go with, what colors do we like? It's about nature. So let's go with some kind of green and blue. We can add this. So we are going to get some turquoise tones, just like we had in the first ones. And then once you apply these colors, we can just keep it this way. I'm just going to do it quickly so there will be no special problems. This is Prussian blue, so this is dark blue, turquoise. This is emerald, which is another shade of green, more on the cold side. And then let's take another color of green. Can I see the avocado green in here? Well, it should be. Well, I can't. Can you bring me avocado green from the... No. From my... here, yes, look for the avocado green. So, we agreed we are going to take color from here and somewhere from here, so nothing muddy is going to happen. We can take water to help them mix. If we can find avocado green, this is more like earthy green. We're going to use it as well. And just to start with the monochromatic, I will take a little bit of green and a little bit of blue. Oh, thank you. That's another green. So that is like the neighboring colors. There's official name for this kind of palette. Just to show you, this is called analogous. So colors which are close to each other. And this is a safe combination without any mud. It's not super sharp, but I hope you can see what I'm trying to show. Okay? So let's do the analogous colors. We can call them the neighboring colors. We can call them colors which are corresponding to each other. You know, something that is close. And now, let's have a look at them. We have green, kind of green, and blue. And when we apply them together on the project, we can do it at the same time. Which means even if one color is going to mix with another, nothing dramatic is going to happen. Which means they're going to just give you another shade of green or blue. There will be no possibility to get any mud. I intentionally do it kind of careless way. So you can see even on the project directly, when I use these colors, they start to mix and blend. And you can just decide how far you would like to go. And the water is going to just make it all happen quickly. It's not going to be a masterpiece. I just want to give you the idea how it works, okay? And in dimensional mixed media, as you can see, I try to push the colors a little bit deeper in the background. So there will be colors more on the top, but I try to put them also closer to the background, so we will have a chance to make colors pop. The water will make them blend, but also dive deeper. You can also make drips and other things. This is quite cool. But as you can see, although I'm blending and mixing and I play with a lot of color, it's still kind of like, okay, these are fluid liquid acrylics. These are paints that are semi-transparent or transparent, very highly pigmented, similar to acrylic inks, but not exactly. We can even add more of the color. We can add another shade of blue, because this is kind of turquoise. Just to show you, it is still going to look okay. See, this is very strong blue. I can add it in several spots. And at this point, everything looks very messy, but this is just one of the many layers I would do in my project. But there is no chance to get any of the poo brown color we mentioned before. So let's give a bird a little bit of the color as well. And this is kind of an example. You can do it with any acrylic paints. They are going to be permanent after drying, and this is important. We're going to talk about permanent effect in a moment with the second project, but permanent means they will be not changing and not blending anymore after drying. And this is where we can take advantage of that and add other colors in a safe way, which means after adding the analogous colors, we can dry them, make them permanent, and then take it to the next level by adding contrasting color, something that is going to add this splash of color attracting our attention. Okay? I will dry it and I will check if there are any questions so far. It's very similar to acrylic ink, but it's in fact paint. Yeah. Does she show the part of putting all the trinkets in the canvas board? Not in this video, not in this live stream today, but if you check my YouTube channel, previous live streams, you will see a lot of projects done step by step, and then there will be a way how this all was attached, and you will see how it is done. Today we're focusing on the color, so I just had to skip that step because it will be very long live stream. Thank you for giving the answers, guys. You're very helpful. Okay, so you can see it's getting there. It's dark, but I'm not going to add contrasting colors in this project. I'm going to add neutrals. So you will see how the look with the neutrals may be done. There's a puddle of color that happens a lot when you have a lot of water. In this technique, it's a lot of water. So this water may go under your embellishments and make drips like that. See? It's sometimes fun. Sometimes it may be not what you want, but it's good to know it is possible to get these results as well. So what happens after drying the project, no matter what kind of acrylic paint you're using or acrylic ink, they will be permanent, which means they won't mix with each other anymore. Okay, so at this stage you could do a lot of things. For example, you could look at your color wheel and look what for the color that will be in the direct contrast. And when you get a color wheel, sometimes you get these triangles showing here, and that means whatever is on the sides of the triangle, oh, these are the colors which are going to be in our composition, so green and blue. Whatever is on the sharp tip of the triangle, this is the color that is natural contrast. So in our situation, it's a triadic. let's say, triadic composition. Yeah. And if we put them together, of course, they're going to give us the most satisfying contrast. So in this case, right, when we have blues and greens, the most satisfying and eye attracting color to go with these, according to this, is going to be some shade of orange yellow. See? With green and blue, it's going to be some kind of orange yellow color. So we could do that, like, but this is not a flat project. This is not a flat project, and if we do it right away, we may get into the trap I mentioned in the beginning, and that trap is we are going to attract too much attention to the color and all of our details are going to disappear. So for the beginners and people who only learn how to find their way in dimensional mixed media, I have another suggestion. Instead of going into contrast right away, play with the shadows and the highlights first. So make it dimensional by adding darker tones in the background, lighter tones on the top. I can show you that easily with paint, but you can also use waxes. Some of you have the mixed media products from my line, and for example, very good product to use on the top of this would be metallic paint or metallic wax to give the highlights, and something dark to make the colors a little bit more 3D. So first idea, if you want to add more shadow here to create that illusion of the dimension, you can go for the darkest possible shade of one of your colors. So navy blue, right? To add extra dark. Or super dark green, which I don't have. But you can also go to neutrals, and neutral colors, these are of course black and white. And in our case, quite often, in many of the projects, neutral brown. The brown is not really considered to be neutral officially, but in projects when we have grungy tones, when we have, when we have situations where people go into more like darker look, brown may be also very good neutral. So working on the shadows first, okay? First thing, we can take black, we can take brown. This is going to give us a little bit of the shadow. Remember, they are semi-transparent, so they're not going to cover everything. They're going to just make things darker. I've got ink black, I've got burnt sienna. They are black and brown. You don't have to use both, but I just give you the options, right? I take a small portion of these, and these will work as the colors to give you, this is not burnt sienna. This is something mixed with burnt sienna. This is a color surprise. This is not burnt sienna at all. I think I put some other paint inside for some reason. Burnt sienna is brown. Burnt sienna. I don't have it here, sorry. Okay, so let's start with black in the meantime. As you can see, this black is not super black. And now I will just put it in the places in between to make more drama. Okay, this burnt sienna should be correct one. Oh yeah. Oh, you can see the difference. This is carmine. I don't know what I did. Okay, so let's put the color in there to create more of the visual drama. If you use brown colors, it's going to give a little bit of the rusty touches as well. But again, if you want that to make it softer, give it a bit of color and water together, right? So this brown is not going to compete with the colors we have here. It's just going to create a little bit of the visual backdrop. If you prefer cleaner look, not grungy, go with the black. Black is not going to add this rusty grunginess of the brown color, but a lot of people love that. Okay, you can see what happened already. It's kind of getting more dimensional because the background is darker, but in between the embellishments. I'm just I really try to do basic things. Okay. So first step, we put the colors which are next to each other, the analogous color palette, greens and blues. And now, instead of adding contrasting colors, we are boosting the shadow and boosting the highlights. So even just putting white color on the top is going to boost the highlight. You can do it with the gesso, white acrylic paint. You can do it with waxes. Let's add a tiny bit of the metallic color. We can do metallic wax or metallic paint. I'm drying and looking for the paint now. It's better to dry it before you will going to put the next layer. Of course, you don't want to mix anything by accident. It's going to be grungy, but with the white highlights. Super simple color palette, very successful, and you can see it's already more dramatic because of the darker tones in there. Have you got any questions? Because I'm drying, so I can easily look at the chat. Thank you. You are so kind. I just want you to see why it is important, okay? That should be dry. So now, it looks a little bit messy, but we can clean it up by adding highlight of the white. We can do it with the matte finish, or we can do it with the metallic finish. Metallic is more dramatic. So let's start with just a simple coat of the white. I will take like not super big brush and a little bit of the white acrylic paint. This is impasto, which is white, matte, and very, very covering. We don't need a lot. When you get back in the States, I'm waiting patiently for things to settle a little bit. You may not know, but we are watching you very carefully, and like, I was waiting for the situation with the tariffs to settle to know what will be the final situation with the prices of the products and everything, and the situation with traveling and everything. Probably more closer to the next year. Okay, so I take this white, and I'm not painting right away on the top. Instead of that, I remove most of my brush, so it's like a little bit, and then we can go on the top to clean up the look a little bit. It's officially, this technique is called dry brushing, so the brush should be dry, but we are speeding up a little bit, and I put a little bit more on my brush maybe than I should, but I just want you to see. Oh, this was still wet. See, this is important to dry. I want you to see what happens. You can see the tops are getting lighter and the bottoms are still getting dark. Do you always use paint first? No, you can do whatever you feel like. I just wanted you to show you the matte finish, and then you can see the metallic finish. So you can see I'm touching the tops, trying to keep the bottom parts the way they were before. Oh, much better result now. You can see this is getting more dimensional right away. So if you want to boost that even more, and we are still talking about monochromatic composition, you can, instead of the flat color, use the metallic color. And metallic makes that even more shiny. So it's going to give us the illusion there's even more of the dimension. Okay, so I would say this is very good starting composition when it comes to colors for the beginners, because it's very hard to make it muddy. There's nothing that can be muddy here, because we are using the colors which are analogous, very close to each other on the color wheel. They are really neighbors. And later on, we're just boosting the shadows and the highlights. Right? So the more layers of the metallic you're going to put, doesn't matter if it's wax or paint, the more dimensional look you're going to get. So you can see this is the look I was showing you on this project. Of course, it's more finished, it has glitter, it has more of the things, but the concept is like that. So two colors which are similar to each other, and then highlights and shadows. Right? Also, the other one that is similar, this one. So that would be one of the good ways to get more confident with dimensional mixed media. First of all, you are limiting the color palettes, like color choices. You are not putting all possible colors on the project. Instead, you're trying to boost the shadows and the lights. That's already great help with the dimensional project, and you limit your colors. So you use 1-2 colors maximum next to each other. So that is something that may be a great solution for people who would like to get more confidence. Once you will make 2 or 3 projects like that, maybe more, you're going to feel more confident with your color choices, then you can go and start adding more of the contrasting colors. And this is what we are going to do right now. I will show you the examples of more colorful combinations and what are the best ways to work with this, okay? That will be the second part of this live stream. So before we're going to go there, I will just remind you, analogous colors, these ones, similar to each other. So blue, green, or purple, red, pink, or yellow, orange, red. These are always safe colors, okay? That's why color wheel may be useful. If you don't have one, you can get yourself one. They're not expensive items to have, and you can see which colors they're going to be your analogous colors, which are the neighboring colors. So you can go and check. If you want, the easiest way is to use this three spaces, right? And then you just move it around and you see which colors are going to be analogous color palettes for you. So, for example, this or this, they will never make mud. Okay? Okay. So the products used here, these were liquid acrylic paints. This was metallic white paint and white gesso or white matte acrylic paint to make this look happen. So this is what I've got so far. Now, let me put it on the side to dry, and I will show you another project, something else, something more adventurous. Let's put this on the side here. I will make more space. Okay, do we have that? I think yes. A sip of tea. So this was, let's say, monochromatic or almost monochromatic color palette with boosted shadows and lights. Boosting shadows and lights, a separate topic, really something that always makes a huge difference in the project. So I'm only mentioning that here and showing you how important it is. But when you make dimensional projects, thinking about this dramatic difference between the dark parts and the light parts, it's going to help you because the dimension really gets visible when you keep in mind there has to be something that visually is closer to you and something that is further away. Whatever's further away, it feels it should be darker. The darker it is, the further away, more in the shadow it is, the more shiny or light the element is. It's closer to you, it's attracting more of the attention. So this is how we kind of work with this. But how to work on the combinations of colors which are not so obvious when it comes to color choices. So you would like to introduce more colors, you would like to add this visual contrast. Very often people like to combine the colors which are clashing, the colors that are natural, naturally on the opposite side of the color wheel. You've got very good example here. We've got turquoise and brown yellow, let's say gold. These are the colors I was already showing you. If we look at that, let's put turquoise on one side. Oh, right, we've got turquoise, opposite side is orange. This is like the most popular combination of clashing colors, and this will make mud in the project if you are not going to be careful. But on the other hand, this is a beautiful combination of the colors and it looks just delightful when you put them together in the right proportion, and it's good to know how to do it safely. There are some really adventurous color combinations. And people think like, oh, this may not work exactly. But in the end, because we are doing that in a smart way, which means in the good balance, and there is still this boost of the shadow and the darkness, it starts to really work nicely together. So these are possible ways to work around the problem. I just want to show you something from the live streams we did in the I think last month there was ATC. Yeah, last month we were doing the ATCs. This is also the example of the color palette like that. Blues, greens, and then orange, yellow. Okay, so all of that makes sense. Even this one is kind of the similar concept. We've got green colors, we've got a bit of purple, surprisingly, then we've got a little bit of orange. So all of that makes sense because light and shadow is in there. Okay, so how to get the best color palettes for dimensional mixed media when you want more colors? You don't want to do the monochromatic color palette. Okay, I will show you some examples and some ideas showing how they look on the color wheel, and then explain what may be the important factors. Okay, Cheryl, a lot of my social media links you will see in the description of that video live stream we have now. So you will find it below. There's another YouTube channel called Finnabair Art Files. Yes, these are my design team members. And there is just so much you can do with us online in different places that it may be a little bit confusing at the very very beginning. So don't worry, we got you. We will help you. The mug, yes, I got it when I was teaching classes in the UK. I got 4 of them now, so I have the ones to check. Okay, adventurous color palettes. So let's have a look at the good examples and see how it works, okay? I try to pick some colors that will be, some projects that will be more colorful. So you will see how it works. Oop, so the ceiling is not helping, okay. These colors are more muted. They are not super bright, but you can see we've got shades of blue, shades of green, and then shades of brown, a little bit into gold tones. So looking at our color wheel, this is more or less what we get. Green, blue, of course they are different tones. They're more delicate ones and dirty. And then opposite side of the color wheel, this is like gold or yellow, right? So it's like a triangle. That kind of works. We've got green and blue working together as the colors that are perfectly going with each other. And they are the analogous colors. They are going to work as neighboring colors. And then to give it a pop of color, a boost, we went with something on the other side. So it is not super punchy in here, but you can see blue, green, and kind of like yellow. So this is one of the examples. And this color palette is a little bit more complicated. So let's have a look at another example. So it's going to be more clear. Maybe let's look at this one, right? So again, blue, green, and then we have orange. But this orange is like this, right? So we should be where is that? We have to go more this way, sorry. Right? Blue, green, and orange. These are vibrant versions of the same color thing. Green, blue, orange in more vibrant version. So you can see here, this orange was used just as a splat on the top. It was not really painted. It's just something I did last moment when the project was almost finished to just give like a pop of color on the top. That's a very good question. Just a second. I will try to come back to that. How to not to make the one color palette over and over. Okay. Another example. Purple. Okay. We've got shades of turquoise green. We've got purple. And then, to be honest, we have a little bit of brown and white. There is not that much of the contrasting color. So let's find purple. Then we have green, which is quite far. That doesn't even fit here, right? So it's not this kind of color combination. Well, let's have a look. Is there something that may work in here? Well, the opposite side, almost turquoise. What is opposite side of the turquoise? No. So they're very, very far away from each other. And they're only 2 colors. So the color wheel is not really helping us with the rules. Here I worked not with the rules, but I got 2 colors, purple and green. and they're far enough to be almost contrasting. And then I added highlights and shadows, and that was it. And here's a very good information, right? Italia in the Wonderland said that every color may work together with the other if you do it in the right proportion. And this is exactly very important point. When you put them in equal amounts, some of the colors go better with the others. If you put them in proportions that are not equal, it may work really well. Okay, another example, something colorful. This is really fun. I love it. This is turquoise, pink, and brown. So we take turquoise here. We are looking for the pink. So this will be almost something like this. This side is going to be better. Pink, turquoise, and then something brownish from that color palette. So again, we have that. I just tried to show you how it all worked, because I don't really follow the rules that much, but the color wheel may be helpful, telling you one thing. Except these colors are not going to make mud, and these colors are going to make mud, right? So let's say we take red, yellow, and turquoise. This is going to be muddy. It means if there is the middle of the color wheel on the way, you have to do it in steps, okay? So you don't apply them at the same time. So you give them time to dry, and then you apply the contrasting color. So for example, like in here, there's green, there is coral, and there is purple. Every single color I was applying, I was almost separating from each other. And the green is dominant color, and then there will be small portions of the coral and purple, and then shadows and lights. So you can put together the colors which are adventurous, the colors that are on the opposite side of your color wheel, absolutely. But you have to do it in steps, okay? This is second very important advice. Well, third. The second was about the shadows and lights. So if we take this project, for example, and decide to add contrasting color, following this color palette, for example, looking for the orange, we could dry it completely and then add the touches of orange without making the mud and without ruining it, okay? So let's have a look. Orange, we've got, let's say, tiger orange. That's going to be rusty color. We've got carmine, which is the rusty red, okay? So we made monochromatic. Now we would like to add a kick of contrasting color. We only do it when the project is dry. So there will be no chance for our blue and green to mix with the contrasting reds and oranges. Does it make sense? So let's take a bit of that orange and let's give the bird a little bit of the color on the belly maybe, right? And then because we have it here, we can put a little bit on the flowers together with the red. And again, I use a lot of water because I would like that to be lighter. You can spray it to create more grungy look, right? This color is going to pop. If you make effects like that, it's good to keep the idea of the balance as well. So they should have some kind of flow. Don't put all of the colors in one spot only, because that may feel too heavy on one side, too aggressive on one side. So as you can see, I tried to make like a flow of colors. Does it make sense? Right? So this is your safe way of applying the contrasting color when the previous colors are dry. Nothing but is going to happen. Yeah, the rules are there to give you some concept, maybe a starting point, but they're not supposed to stop you from experimenting and doing things. It's not about that. It's about giving some suggestions, and then you can do your own thing. But knowing the color wheel trick, very, very, common knowledge for people who are into arts, but not exactly for people who are self-taught. It's just good to have this shortcut, right? You know that you should not put the colors on the opposite sides of the color wheel together at the project at the same time. And once you will do it in steps, the chance of making poo brown is very unlikely. Okay, I'm just going to remove that to speed up the process. We dry it. Now it looks a little bit rusty. Of course, there's a lot of water in here, so we will have a bit of surprises here and there. So now we have completely different atmosphere in this project. Something is in the different vibe. It's not monochromatic anymore. We have these visual effects attracting attention. Of course, we can add even more just by adding like lovely finishing touches, such as adding a little bit of a splatter here and there if you feel this is not having enough of the color. If you want to get more painty artistic look, this is the way you can introduce the color in a very delicate way. It's contrasting, but it's delicate. So again, you add something extra on the top. And this is the moment when we apply our contrasting color, and some people feel like I went too far. I made it too colorful. I wanted to, just use it as a contrast, but I went very enthusiastic. And now everything seems to be clashing with each other. And again, one of the things you can do here, in that case, again, there's another important hack. You can go back and add a little bit of the highlighting colors to tone it down. If by accident it happens that you're going to make a project that feels like Gypsy King, so you have all the possible colors, you can add the color on the top to unify that. That was exactly this kind of project. There was pink, there was orange, there was turquoise, there was green. Everything was super vibrant, but it was a little bit too much. But when I highlighted everything with neutral on the top, it starts to make sense. It's acceptable project now because everything is highlighted, there's dimension, and the colors are not so much in your face. So that is something that may be helpful if you feel you went too far. So if I saw, I didn't want to have so much orange. Oh no, it's a little bit too much. Worry not. You can go back to your white and add more of the white, or you can dry it and go back to your blue or green and bring back the missing color in the place, but make sure it is dry first. Okay? So that is something that is very helpful because people tend to panic when they don't have experience. They think like, oh no, I made a mistake, I have to start again. No, you don't have to paint everything black and start again. Just take a little bit and try to tone it down. Toning down just by adding neutral. Okay? So I took a little bit of this white pearl, and now I can tone down some of the colors if I think they were too vibrant. Right? They're not going to be so aggressive anymore. Just an idea. Don't repaint everything. Try with the steps you did before first. You can always add touches on the top, like highlights or whatever the color is there. You can use one of these to put it back. So now I could go and take more of this blue and create like more of the blue pops if I needed, for some reason, to bring it back. We could totally go in there and do it. And there's no problem if you have to repeat it like 5 times, because you are in the learning process. You are not really sure what you want to do. When you see the final project, you have no idea how many times people change their minds. You have no idea. Only crazy people like me, they show you every possible step and they just own it, because I do it for like educational purposes. And I think it's nice to know how the things are done. I'm just showing you what happens, right, when you add the colors like that as well. Does it make sense? Like the things we are doing now here. Yes, the splashes give the harmony, because it is just pulling it all together. And you know, if you decided that, oh no, I did too much, there's no problem. You can always come back and put it in there. This thing is, everything is done in many layers. Some people love vibrant. Some people love to have a lot of color. Some people prefer to have monochromatic and very subtle. And that is something that you just need to experience to see what is going to call your name. And one day you're going to go and decide, yeah, I really want to go into vibrant colors. And then you're going to go with this crazy color palettes. You're going to experiment with colors on the opposite sides of the color wheel, in a safe way, of course. And the other way, it's like, no, I just go one color. I'm going to create the depth. I'm going to create the visual drama just using very basic color, and that's it. Oops, a little bit of the eye for the bird as well. So, what are the safest way? I just to remind you, very, very safe color combination for the 3D dimensional mixed media, like 3D mixed media, is to go with the something that is called split complementary color palette. This is the one I see. I am showing you here. 2 colors which are next to each other, and then one from the opposite side of the color wheel. Okay, so for example, you can see this color combination in here. Green is on the opposite side of the color wheel, while coral and purple are next to each other on the color wheel, and they work together, but one is the dominant color and the other 2, they are just adding extras. So let's say green and purple. Oh, this is like, where's green? Green, oh, here's green, sorry. Right? Green, purple, and then something coral, more on that side color of the color wheel. Let's see. Maybe this will be easier to find purple next to, something like this, and then this. This is what we have here. But one is dominant, the other ones are adding extras. Similar concept. This one. These are next to each other. They are dominant, and this one is adding extras. Right? And then, of course, highlights and shadows. If you don't know what kind of colors you would like to add in highlights and shadows, you can always go for like neutral white to start with, but you can also experiment with silver, which is close to white, and with the delicate tones of gold, because it is also kind of like delicate enough. This one is a very good example. We've got turquoise and then orange gold, opposite sides of the color wheel. But then there's also this like darker orange. So there's yellow orange on one side and then accent of turquoise. This is dominant in the warmer colors. So the colors that will be yellows, oranges, and a splash of turquoise. Okay, so I will just have a look at the questions now. What color would I use if I have a monochromatic piece and want to add shadow but not grunge vibe? Probably black. And black or super dark version of the color which is in your monochromatic. So for example, in that case, I could use navy blue or very, very dark green. So you can mix your green color. Let's have a look with the brush here, right? I need a piece of paper to show you this, right? So we have kind of dark color already, but we can make it even darker by adding black to it. So it's going to get more intense. We pick this green, we mix it with black. We create darker versions. Oh, this is almost no black. But black is neutral color. It's going to add grayish tones. The more solid your black is, of course, the more delicate you have to be. But you can see this is still black with the green-blue undertone. Does it make sense? So this is something that you can easily add without... On the project, I just did like, okay, I will put black on it because it's semi-transparent black and I can easily put it everywhere. The water is going to flow. It's going to add a little bit of the color. But if you are afraid to do that, mix it on your palette. So let's say you want to go monochromatic, your colors are blues, greens. Then if you want to add the neutral shadow, you take that blue-green, you add a drop of black and you have it. So it's going to be no brown undertone. The brown undertone is good when you like grungy, when you go for the colors that are on the grungy vibe. I don't really have very brown. Oh, I don't have very brown color project here. Let me check. Very brown project. It's more complicated project, but you'll see what I mean. So the main color palette here is brown and green, and the contrasting colors is kind of orangish, right? So in a way, when you have a lot of brown color, you can go with any kind of earthy color, earthy green, earthy orange, earthy red. They're all coming next to each other. And here you've got a lot of like earthy colors and they make sense, but there's still shades of, sorry, stop it, shades of black. And they will be these highlights of the lighter tones as well. So that is something that you can easily do, but don't go there in the first moment. Really try to do the baby steps first. You need to understand how the colors work to get that confidence. It's like, if you really want to do successful dimensional mixed media without making mess, please remember these 4 advices I gave you. First advice is, start with the monochromatic project first, right? So pick the colors next to each other and get confidence in there. And second advice, work with the light and shadow. You can see light and shadow They are going to create the depth. This is very, very important. Don't go in very broad color combinations because they are going to be more challenging at the very first. Go with the two corresponding colors and then with the light and the shadow. Then third advice, once you are confident with that, once you like it, you would like to add the contrasting color, go on the opposite side of the color wheel to pick your clashing color, your contrasting color, but only apply it on your project when the previous colors are dry. Does it make sense? Because then there will be no mud. And finally, the fourth advice is, if you feel that there is too much color, you can always rub a color on the top, one to unify it all. I suggest the highlighting color, something that is going to pull it all together without panicking. So, for example, in that case, I could easily put back the white on the top if it was too much. But if you are making a project in the warm tones and your highlight color is gold, you can rub back this gold on the top. So you can easily tone down your colors if you are a little bit overboard. So this is like the beginning of color combinations, right? I wanted to mention to you. I will just go to the questions in a moment now. If you want to do more, I highly recommend starting my Patreon subscription. There's a whole series called Mixed Media Essentials, when we talk about things such as combinations of colors, how to build textures, how to make highlights, how to learn dry brushing, how to work on the focal point, what to do with certain groups of products. And it's on €10 per month tier, ArtPal, and you have the access to the whole library of 4 years of Patreon classes. So that's a lot of knowledge for somebody who would like to dive deeper. So you have that in the description of this video. You can try for 1 month only to see how it works. If you will love it, you can continue, but it's like Netflix. You can subscribe, sign in, watch it, and then you can cancel after 1 month if you want to, or you can stay forever. That's also great, and you support me as an artist, and I'm eternally grateful. So that is a great way to expand. I also hope to get some suggestions for the future first steps in mixed media videos for the beginners who would like to get more confident with something. And you can leave that in the comments below, or leave some comments on Facebook in our Finnabair classes groups or Finnabair studio groups. But don't forget to tag me. And now there were some questions. Could you remind the names of these orange colors? Yes, lighter orange was tiger orange. This is the one that is lighter tone. The darker one is carmine. Super, super rusty red color. Okay. The piece with the frame with the purple and green, did you use for the shadow? Burnt sienna brown. This was burnt sienna brown. I use the brown. I use quite a lot of the brown color because I mostly make the grungy, where's that color? Grungy color palettes. Oh, here it is. Burnt sienna. And there was a question, how not to get stuck in one color palette? Like, this is very popular color palette people like to do, I know. But my advice on how not to get stuck with one color palette is to look for inspiration outside of the color wheel, which means, like, this is, for example, very colorful project for me. And I will tell you how I do it. So I don't really stare at the color wheel to see which colors go together, because this is not inspiring. It doesn't make my color imagination work. What I prefer to do, I look at color combinations I see in nature, or I see in other projects, or I see in home interior design, fabric. I just intentionally memorize color palettes that catch my eye. So I really like a lot of I really like cold colors. I really use a lot of cold colors in my projects. You can see that in the back, for example. But sometimes I have a moment when I want to do something completely different. And this is because I saw something that caught my eye, and then I take it as a live inspiration to try an experiment with the color palette. Quite often it happens when I scroll Instagram and I will see a really beautiful project done by someone. And there are colors that are not my usual colors. They are something that was, just at that time working for me. And I try to see, okay, what was done in there and how I can use it in my own way. Of course, I can't use a lot of colors when I make dimensional project, but I can do it in a smart way. I was showing you. Use, like here. I can use these little splatters of color to make it work. Very good source of the inspiration are mood boards. Sometimes you can find them in home interior or in scrapbooking challenges, or people make these mood boards to, just feel better. There are sometimes beautiful photos of the nature or landscapes or whatever, and then you can see beautiful color combinations. If they work for you as a mood board, as an image of elements, it means they're going to work on your project as well, but you have to be smart in application, which means there has to be good proportion between these colors. You can't put 3 clashing colors in equal amount because it's going to be a fight. You have to put one color as a dominant, just to remind you this project, one color as a dominant, and other colors will be adding extra. It's like making a dish, right? There is one main ingredient and other ones are adding the spice to it. And then you're going to have a successful one. This is the information I can't tell you. It's a secret. But start saving. The piece with I have that. I have to scroll down. Yes, Cheryl, there's no limitations for how long you want to stay. It's like recurring payment. If you want to, you can cancel after 1 month and then come back after some time. It's just, something that is possible as a trial version. Some people know they won't have time because they will be traveling, or they are not going to have time to dive into that, so they cancel for some time, they come back. It's all possible to do. You come and go. Although I appreciate every little donation, because of course Patreon is one of the sources of my income and you make my working from home possible. It's difficult to get imported paint and media because they are not used in cold therapy, or because there are tariffs extremely expensive here in Mexico. I really feel for you. We all struggle now. Asha, this is absolutely true. We can find inspiration everywhere. Sometimes it's just you find a beautiful artwork, a painting, or a photo. Sometimes it's just a color of the fabric on your bed sheets. Sometimes it is the color you will see on somebody's clothes, or something that is going to be just in front of you in the garden. You just have to train your brain to collect this information. And if you have hard time remembering, snap a photo with your phone. if you saw something absolutely beautiful, take a photo of it, and then you have a reference in your phone. And then you can do, make it work. Because color wheel is helpful to let you know, is there going to be mud or not, right? Is there the brown brown is going to happen? Or what colors next to each other, they will be working nicely. But it's not going to help you like, oh yes, I'm going to take this and this and this, and I'm not going to work with that. Most of us, it's not going to work because our imagination doesn't work this way. Okay, it's just useful tool to check what is happening next to each other. Like a lot of my projects, you could see they were not really fitting in the tight brackets of the color wheel, but they worked because of the color proportion and the shadows and lights and keeping it all in the one cohesive, not too broad color palette. And the question was, someone had a good question above. She asked why you didn't pick the gears to put the rusty color on. I could. Most of the times I do it, but when I was talking and I was just thinking about how to explain things, my first idea was to put the color on the flower, and then I just followed the flowers on the branch, and then I added the belly on, and also the belly of the bird because it's a robin. Probably not, but you know what I mean. That's why. This was the only reason. Most of the times I would do it this way. But it's an example, not like real artwork I would really focus on. It was just to give you illustration of the process, how the colors work once you apply them on the project. So there was no deeper meaning, unfortunately. It was just my, impulse of a brain. And then I just followed that to make it work. There are several websites that give you suggestions of color combinations. Absolutely, this is true. A lot of people have to have that to make their job possible. It's really the easiest way. Staring at the colors and the palette, it's not helpful. You have to see something in real life, and you will see your personal taste is going to change over time, and that's natural. I have phases in my life when I go blue all the time, and now I have a lot of green, then I will have pink and orange, and then I will have only shades of black and gold. I just don't fight with this. Why? I just go with the flow, and then naturally it kind of shifts. But I keep my head open, and quite often I use things I have around me as a reference. When you work with pattern paper, for example, when you have something that is your starting point. Here, my starting point, it was the tissue paper in the green color. That was like great starting point. Here, I've got colors of the paper collection, the Stargazer I made for 7 Dot Studio. So I already had good points to start. So if you don't know where to start, look through your stash and find something that is going to call your name because it has beautiful color. And you can use it in your project, and that will be your jumpstart. I love it's so pretty, the blue on the gears. Okay. I hope that was useful. If you have somebody who is into this kind of mixed media, when they like to put found objects together, something that is between dimensional collage and assemblage art, if they like to work with the found objects and use them in the projects, or they like to create textures and they struggle with the colors a little bit, send them the link to this video and tell them to subscribe to my YouTube channel, maybe also my social media. It would be helpful. There's a lot of projects on my Instagram, on my brand Instagram as well. So Finnabair is one, Finnabair Studio is the second one. Everything is in the description below. Or to consider joining as my patron because there is really a lot of knowledge. And visit this channel to dig in the previous episodes of my live streams as well, because there are multiple sources in this channel. You can look at the project videos. There are also some videos focusing on the techniques. So if you want this mixed media for beginners, so this first steps in mixed media series to expand, give me some ideas. Like one of the most watched video live stream from that series from a couple of years ago, it was what are the basic products to start with if you want to do mixed media, like the most important things. And people really appreciated that there were so many views on that live stream, because I know people struggle with making decisions. So that is also somewhere here in this YouTube channel in the live section. So I hope that was helpful. I will just double check, czy są jakieś pytania od pani z Polski, tylko się upewniam. If you have any more questions, I'm here. Let me know. I try to make it really cohesive and really quick and like simple steps. 4 important points I wanted you to remember. Just to remind you, point number 1, start with the monochromatic, go with the analogous corresponding colors. Step number 2, work on shadows and highlights to make this dimension work. Step important 3, only add contrasting color from the opposite side of the wheel when the project is completely dry. So there will be no mud happening, because opposite side of the wheel means pool brown. And then finally, the 4th one is, if you feel that you are too colorful and the colors are overboard, please remember you can always tone it down by putting one color on the top. For example, using the highlighting color or something that is to marry it all together. I was trying to really to make it approachable for the people who are beginners. Italia in the Wonderland. Tak, już tłumaczę, co się dzieje. Ta brązowa maź to jest bitumen, czyli brązowy, antykujący składnik tego wosku. Przepraszam, języki mi się mieszają. I prawdopodobnie, ponieważ były zmiany temperatur i tak dalej, to teraz troszkę się ten bitumen i ta mika, która jest w środku, zaczęły rozwarstwiać. Zamknij dobrze tubkę, jeżeli to jest w tubce, a mam nadzieję, że tak. I dobrze go rozmasuj, żeby to się z powrotem połączyło. I po prostu ten wosk, który kupiłaś, to jest seria Antique Brilliance i ona ma brązowy kolor, brązowy antykującą bazę i fioletowy kolor Miki, który ma dawać taki highlight. Jeśli poszukasz na moim kanale sprzed 5-6 lat wideo, kiedy ja wprowadzałam takie woski na rynek, to wtedy pokazuję, że one zupełnie inaczej wyglądają na czarnym, a zupełnie inaczej na białym tle. Mam nadzieję, że pomogłam. Nic mu się nie stało, po prostu się trochę rozwarstwił z powodu zmiany temperatur. Weź go wymasuj. Polecam. Thank you very much, guys. There was a question about wax. To się wszystko zgadza. Amethyst Magic, tak, to jest wosk z elementami bazy antykującej i to, co się tam brązowe pojawia, to jest ta baza, więc trzeba go po prostu razem zmieszać. Could you try clear gesso on the slate jean? I'm wondering if I'm working on slate, will this become a sponge for the color? No. General slate is a stone, and the stones are not very absorbing, but as Jenny suggested, if you feel the slate is drinking too much of the paint, you can put a coat of clear gesso, but honestly, I never had the stone that will be absorbing a lot. Wood is completely different story. Wood will absorb a lot, but stone not much. So even if you don't have gesso and your stone has matte finish, you can go. But If you will notice something is happening, clear gesso is a very good advice. Okay, so thank you very much. If there's any more question, don't be shy, leave it in the comment. I will check on this live stream later on. Next week, I'm inviting my patrons for the live stream exclusive for patrons. We see each other at the same time on Saturday, probably Saturday, unless something will change, that will be Sunday. My patrons, I'm waiting for suggestions what kind of project you would like me to do. So because I have to figure that out. Patrons of €10 or more, tomorrow we have our live stream and we make a project together. So that was just also information. I will, of course, post for you on Patreon when it is happening and what is the plan. Any suggestions are welcome. It's always easier to work with the starting point. Okay? Dragon. Would black gesso affect my color choices? Not really. It's the same rule. Although black gesso loves metallic colors, I have to say. Black gesso is perfect for metallic. What time tomorrow? This is not tomorrow, Jean. It is next Saturday or Sunday, the same time, 7 p.m. of British time, 8 p.m. Central European time. And then 11 and 2 p.m. when it comes to, I think, Eastern time and Pacific time. I could see there was some questions about the time. Remember, if I leave you a link, you can always check on YouTube what time it is in your time zone, because link is going to show you in your location. So if we have like possibility on YouTube to set up your reminder, it's going to tell you how much time is left, like 44 hours. And it's going to show the time in your local time, not mine. So, patrons, we have a date next week. It was done here in Idaho. Thank you, Brenda. It is really confusing with the time zones, and that's why when I give the link, I usually, you can see the timing, the time count on YouTube, and that is the easiest way to follow. Thank you very much for watching. I hope that was useful. If you want to say anything to me, you can leave the comment, or you can tag me in the groups on Facebook. I will try to see it later on. I would love to know what is the next topic for the beginners, for first steps in mixed media you would like me to focus on. Please let me know. Thank you. Thank you so much. Bardzo dziękuję. Bardzo, bardzo dziękuję. Bye bye.